Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Marion County Commission meeting Monday, June 30th, 9 a.m. Start off with public forum. There's nobody in the room. Nobody online. Don't see anybody, so close public forum. Start off with the agenda approval. Is there anything that needs to be added to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll just move forward. The agenda is approved. Payday approval.
Okay, first off, there's sales tax in the amount of $81,124.72. Next up is Western Associates for $1,291.67.
Make a motion to approve.
What's that? Question. What is an $858 flag kit?
They use,
Trade show. Banner.
when they go on site, they go locations, they put them out by the road.
You go off-site.
They give shots to different places, and doing some shows.
See them whenever the food trucks go up. It's food, it's something like that.
I'm just questioning, it seems like overblown for an open sign.
I don't know. My fare booth is $1,800. It's not through Western. So, motion on the table.
They're like 7 or 8 foot high. I don't know if there's more than one
It just doesn't seem like a use of taxpayers' funds, but just my thought.
Yeah, I don't know, we need 4 of them. But
I only go to one place at a time.
or say different things maybe.
I'll second the motion to.
Motion in a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those abstaining?
Say,
4 with 1 abstention.
to do the sayings.
Okay, next we have Elkhorn Properties for $1,500.
Motion, $15.
Motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those abstaining? Aye.
Gonna be moving into that building.
Yep, this week.
They were finishing up, they were working on the door Friday when I was over there.
Right, we should be moving this.
Where they're moving this, the blades and stuff.
I helped Steve
I've seen
acquire
it.
a spot in Lehigh for one of them.
Because I've seen them leave town.
I don't know where the other one went.
I can find out. I don't know.
I don't need to know.
Well, the one
I didn't see it leaving town Wednesday.
one blade is all their work is north of the highway, so it made sense to get north of the highway, so it's not crossing the highway. So, and the city of Lehigh was more than willing to help put up a spot. So, kudos to them.
Thank you for taking care of that, helping them.
Well, that's the thought, right? Keep it close by, you might get some more.
Better first.
Yeah. I really appreciate the city council over there making that happen.
Okay, total payday number is $1,195,089.77.
Any other questions with the warrants?
Yeah. Tina, I know on our cleaning service, that's under contract.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we doing on that? I mean, it seems like some months we get really, is that bill staying the same? Exactly the same?
Yep.
Okay. I was thinking it was higher this month, so,
Nope.
all right. And then just a comment, I know judicial administers their own budget, but I didn't know under federal law, we have to pay for illegals, legal expense. I don't know, is that federal law?
I can find it.
I mean, we had $650 worth of interpreter.
Oh, that's not that. There are different kinds of interpreters. So some people, if they have a disability, they may need a sign language interpreter, or they may need or if they do need a language interpreter, they can do that, but
Okay.
yeah. But they have to be able to participate in their own legal process. So.
Any others? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Ken,
I second
second by Dave. All those in favor?
it. Aye.
5-0. Trying to skin this cat.
That's kind of mean.
Yeah. The network has got me locked out, so I'm navigating a different way.
Okay, we have the minutes of June 23rd.
Everybody had a chance to read the minutes. Any corrections? Is there a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second? All those in favor? Aye. 5-0.
You want me to, is anyone else having trouble getting on the meeting or on the network? We connected on Wi-Fi or trying to just plug into the.
And then next we have some change orders. There's also one supplement in there, just It's just for review.
Remember to ask to silence the phone.
They were on the packet.
Yes.
Verifying. It's Outlook or something.
Okay. I was having trouble with it.
And your password is right. Right, I had to do this morning.
Alright, and that's all I have.
All right. Administrative.
Well, as you know, the elevator was not working this morning. It is working now, but the parts that they need to be able to maintain the elevator going forward are obsolete. So we really do need to, and it will take, once we make a decision to update it or replace it, it's gonna take 6 months or so to get the parts that we need to be able to do that. And then we will have to be down for several weeks to get that updated. So Kevin's gonna reach out and get some updated quotes on that. But it, you know, I think we're to the point where we really need to be planning on how to take care of that. So,
Nursing along for several years.
yes, we have. So, just wanna get that on your radar. Let's see.
Is there any maintenance funds that are in place that have some money in it for that at this point?
Well, we have money in the budget for courthouse improvements for this year, so we could utilize those funds.
Okay.
I think it's probably gonna be, just from what they were talking before, it may be anywhere from 80 to 120,000 to.
I'd say 50,000 probably won't get it anymore, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't wanna speak to it until I know, until I've seen some figures, but we do have money in the budget under that line item, so. In the report, hopefully you see that the cost share application was not approved through KDOT, so we did not receive that grant. We are working with NRCS, and I think Doug will be in here later to, after we address that particular item, to get approval to move forward with applying for that program. We have used that program before. Let's see. So in your packet, there are 2 special event permits. And these typically don't need commission approval, but just because there were certain things in these ones that do need specific approval, because the first one for Olney Church, they do an annual fireworks celebration, and it falls outside the time frame that is allowed for fireworks to be detonated. And so none of the other departments had any issues, like the sheriff's and department, everybody has looked at these. So if it pleases the board, I would like to request approval of this special events permit.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Alright.
5-0.
Okay. And then the next one is for the annual fireworks for the Marion County Lake.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Kent,
Second it.
second by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, thank you.
And on the lake, I think it's going to be an all-day event. They're having a band and games and stuff.
Yeah, they kind of make a big deal of it, so.
Parade of boats sometime.
Okay. We are looking at a small garden shed to put out at the north building complex out there for the mower. So the mower we just replaced is out there, but it's just tarped right now. So we would like to get a shed to put out there. Kevin did check a few places. He's checked the Dirksen place that actually has buildings right out there. And then he's looked at Shacks and Shed Sales LLC, which is out of Galva, and then also Sturdy Built. And I'll pass these around, but the one that he's hoping to put over there is this one that's over at Dirksen. It's probably the best value, and it's right there. So the cost for that one is for a 10 by 16 is $4,198.50 for this little wooden building. So take a look at those. The prices are on all those.
Gonna get one that's no brainer. Especially with the transport cost.
Takes a chain, huh?
You go across the street, borrow the lull, fork it and dump it.
Just give it to you and then you.
Build yourself some ramps, so.
Does that come out of the combined budgets for the departments that are there then?
We may take it out of just the facilities or courthouse budget, since it's just to store lawn equipment.
They look about the same.
Sizes on them are slightly varied.
So it shouldn't blow away. So, garden ones put in the backyard.
Yeah, the little tin ones, yeah.
You got me this drawer and I don't put anything in it.
discussion about them?
So are you okay to just to choose?
Get that in the motion, probably. Make a motion to go with Dirksen.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All those
And the-
opposed?
Hey,
4-1. I didn't quite, almost didn't catch you there.
That's 4,198.50 for that, so, okay,
4-1.
okay. And really the rest. The one thing I did wanna mention is, we do have the utilities still on at the old planning and zoning building. We have things stored in there. At some point, yeah, that space, we're gonna have to make a decision on what the future of that building is gonna be. And then also, we just keep it in your mind, we do have space downstairs that's gonna need to be reworked and designated for a purpose at some point. So it's not a huge rush at this point, but we do have those spaces that aren't really serving us right now.
Do we need to have the utilities on over there?
Well, it depends on how quick we do something over there.
Yeah, I mean, you say just shut it down to gas just to keep it warm in the winter, but then you gotta have electricity too. So,
Well, that's just it. If you go in and out, you probably need some lights.
any thoughts on what that building is gonna be? I mean, what it properly utilized for? I mean, we always talked about digitization over there, but
We're not really ready to go on that in super near future. But until we have a storage solution, it has been helpful for that. So the building itself isn't super stellar. So
it isn't owned by a neighbor that doesn't like us either, so.
right, exactly. So anyway. And I don't need a decision on that.
How much room are you talking about downstairs is it empty or is it?
I can show you later. It's basically just the old one half of the road and bridge department. We have maps and different things in there right now and a table. And then we're storing paper in one of the offices and then we have a postage machine in another. So it's just kind of, things are there, but that's some space that could be probably better
utilized?
So, and it's not a big rush on that, but just something to keep in mind.
Something that the court could use, they're too far away.
Well, I have some thoughts about, I
You think,
I have a potential solution for their space needs, but they may not like it.
I'm sure they're not.
Cause it would require some renovation of their current space up there. Anyway, so for now, or we just wanna leave everything as is, or do you want to turn the utilities off?
Stuff being stored over there now, right?
Yes,
Yeah, no.
Things go downhill quickly.
right, and we also do have, that we have a
What's the average utility bill on that?
yeah, we went down to the minimum that we could as far as we canceled the trash and did, the minimum with the city that we could at the time. So. But it's probably 80 or 90 at least, yeah, a month,
Less than 1,000 a year.
I believe so. I'll double check it though. Okay.
storage with another container. storage container set over here somewhere, store what's in there though. If we bought, purchased another one or something, with a storage issue.
Say that again.
If we got rid of the building completely and bought a storage unit or container and set it over here somewhere, with whatever we're storing in there.
It'd be the equivalent of 5 years of paying for utilities over there.
About the next 50.
Well, in the space there, you know, you may decide that you wanna tear that building down and make it, and build a storage building over there, you know? Something to think about. It's,
That got asbestos in it? Probably.
okay. That's all that I really have for the administrative. We do have the executive session for attorney-client with Kevin Case, and he is gonna attend remotely.
That's in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, let me find that.
And I don't know if the sheriff is gonna come over for that. I'm just wanting to know if he can grab your laptop and work on it in the office here while we're
Yeah.
arguing.
I can use my phone and squint real hard.
Okay.
Why? How about, I'm gonna go, 30 minutes is too much.
I think maybe just start with
15.
15.
That would be great. We can get Barney in here.
Yeah, I may have scheduled things too leisurely today.
That's right.
Since sometimes we run out of time. Yeah, there is. Okay, I just texted the sheriff. You might just include him in your motion just in case he comes over.
Yeah.
And then if he doesn't come over, then it's fine.
15. All right, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss active litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item number 2, for consultation with our attorney in matters deemed privileged under attorney-client privilege with the board, Kevin Case, Tina, and Jeff Soyes. For 15 minutes until 9:45, with open session to resume back in commission chambers following the closed session. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0.
All right, Ron.
All right, out of executive session, no decisions made. All right, so next thing on the agenda is at 10 o'clock. See Barney. Swing some stuff around.
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
By the time anybody gets here though, it'll probably be,
Yeah. It's usually the case.
can do your other. Well, Marcy's coming over for that. Oh, people are coming over for this. Usually when other people are involved, things take longer.
So, I guess, I mean, I don't know if anybody else has any commission comments, but I could interject and throw mine in there now. On the KAC was on Wednesday. Website goes live for registrations for December 9th, 10th, and 11th. the KAC this year. Vendor applications are open now. It goes live tomorrow,
Where's it at this year?
so, it's Wichita.
Still.
Until Shawnee, not Shawnee, Overland Park gives a better rate, it's gonna remain in Wichita, so.
So does everybody want me to, do we want us to register you when it opens for the full conference or?
That is my liking. I believe this year I get a one night through KAC, so that I'm there the first day, so.
So you'd go up earlier?
Yeah.
Okay.
But no decisions have to be, it's just, it opens, and if you plan on staying, it's always nice to get in ahead of time.
The rooms get filled up, so. Does anybody think that you'll plan on staying at the hotel?
I usually drive.
Okay.
I'll probably just drive.
You'll just drive, okay, Mike?
I ain't gonna commit it this early yet.
Okay, all right, I gotcha.
I think the conference rate,
Second and third night.
yeah, so rough laydown, but it's not. It's just basically a guideline at this point. We're still trying to wrap up all the speakers. Trying to lay out the trainings in more of a track. So if it's for administrators, if it's for road and bridge, if it's for commissioners, and that way you're not. They're all beneficial to everybody, but
Segregating.
You get more bang for your buck by going to the classes that pertain to you.
yeah, but you're not tied to it. So this is the track that's recommended for your department, but if you'd rather go check out budgeting where the commissioners are, you can. Vice versa. You're not tied to one course.
I should have time to get some classes twice. You wanna go to both of them, but you,
Right.
I know there's not enough time in the day to
We've only got
do that.
4 rooms to work with, so there'll be 4 different classes and 5 classes within the string. So, the vendor booths will open at 1 o'clock the second day and close at 6. There won't be a meal that night. It'll be just light hors d'oeuvres because typically so many people go off with their cooked flat and strobel or whatever that it was just too much wasted food, and it shows irresponsibility. So cutting back on that. 2 counties dropped out of NACO. So they had their own reasons. Yeah, that's what I got.
Is that the KAC conference you're talking about?
Yeah.
When is that this year? Cause I think we're going
9th, 10th, and 11th
December.
December. So it'll be the 10th,
and it's in
Wichita. So the booth would be on the 10th.
Okay.
Because Thursday is just a half day and everybody leaves at noon unless you're administrator or health department, and they tend to have their annual meeting and it goes longer. Yeah, you're here.
Oh, so you ready?
Let's
All right,
take advantage of it.
all right, I'll hand these out. There you go.
Thank you.
Seems like this book gets bigger every year.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
You guys do more stuff and add more
Adding more
funds,
funds.
every fund's a fee.
Like
These are extras. And then I'm
See
gonna
scroll.
What's that?
Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably keep a copy in Hutch, fine.
All right, so we're gonna start off with inside your, there's two letters. One is a little letter, 2-page. This year, because of the expenditures of the remaining ARPA or CSLF RF monies, we had to do that additional procedure again where we tested your federal expenditures. So this little 2-page letter is the result of that. Essentially, we have to test to make sure everything you spent was allowable cost and allowable activity. So we did take a sample of the federal expenditures and review those, and this is the letter saying that everything appeared to be in accordance with the rules. Any questions on that?
Good job, Tina.
The next letter inside the burgundy binder is our governance letter. We always like to say, even though we work with administration, we work for the governing body. And so your entity is your governance, your position as a city, as a county commissioner puts you in charge of these financials. So you trust that these ladies review it, and trust me, Tina reviews this thing with a fine tooth comb, and maybe some others as well. And so this letter would indicate any issues or concerns that we had found in the financials, which we had no issues or concerns. Everything's in order as usual. We did come out, I believe 4 of us came, and for one day on site. We do a lot of it before we get here, but we did come out for one day. Pages 1, 2, and 3 of the burgundy binder are the auditor's report. Your county, like most counties in Kansas, report under the KMAG regulatory basis, which is essentially cash basis.
Sorry.
That's all right, no worries. Okay, so you're essentially cash basis, so if you'll turn to pages 4 and 5, this is your financial statement. Down the left-hand side are all the funds that you use to record the transactions of the county. And so it flows on to the second page. You can see as you go to the bottom of page 5, the county started the year with $18,029,730 in all their funds. You receipted in $26,040,711. You expended $29,669,084, leaving you with a balance of $14,409,457. There were no adjustments, so what you're looking at is essentially what you would have seen from Tina at the end of the year. Looking down the far right-hand side, you can see all the funds had a positive balance, so no cash violations. We didn't have any violations that we noted, but cash would be, if any of your funds were negative, that'd be a violation, unless it was a fund that is reimbursable by a federal grant. So at the bottom of page 5, you can see where that money resides. If you look down the list, you can see cash and cash items on hand, checking accounts, CDs, your KMIP money, the Kansas Municipal Investment Pool. And then you'll see we do subtract out $18,184,830. Those are the funds that are in your bank accounts that belong to others, the schools, the cities, the townships, and the different entities that you've collected taxes on behalf of. So we do back that out, leaving you with the county's total of $14,796,417. Any questions on that? The next several pages are the notes to the financials, which I'm not going to read to you. There are no new ones that were required this year, but the notes are required, and they give the reader and you, the governing body, a little more information about how the county does business. On page 9, this is a summary of the county's debt. At the end of 2024, you had one outstanding GO bond. That was the one that was issued 2022. Outstanding balance of $4,020,000. And then you had several capital leases for equipment used in various departments of your county. So you started the year with a balance of debt of $7,197,339. You ended with $6,203,233. You paid interest of $209,540, and there were no new issues of debt or leases during the year. All right, then if you will turn to page 15. 15 is where we demonstrate the county's compliance with Kansas budget law. So there are a lot more funds on the front schedule than there are here because not all of your funds are budgeted funds. So page 15 only lists the budgeted funds. And as you can see on the far right-hand side, you were under budget in all of your funds. The total budget that you published was $34,711,128. You expended $26,681,578, leaving you under budget $8,029,550. Starting on page 16, we start with all the individual funds. I won't go through all of them, but I will go through the general fund to show you the layout. On page 16, you can see the general fund receipts. You can see prior year actual, current year budget, and then any variance over or under. So as you go down on page 16, I guess your receipts actually flow all the way over to 17. If we look at the bottom of page 17, you can see that your budgeted revenue for the general fund was $6,068,415. You actually brought in $7,154,620, leaving you with a positive variance of $1,086,205. So you took in more than you anticipated, which is normal. You budget conservatively on the revenue side. And then starting on page 18 are all of the expenditures, and the general fund has departments, so it has more pages. I always like to pick on the commissioners. I do it every year, but so you can see the commissioners, actually you were over your budget by $643, which is not a violation. The budget law applies to the fund in total. So if you flip back and look on page 21, you can see the general fund was under budget by 1.4 million. But then you can kind of look at each department and kind of go through and see how each department did. Obviously, your budget internally is a management tool, and you do want department heads to adhere to those budgets, but the budget law applies in total to the fund. And then the following pages, starting on 22, there's one page for each fund. So I will not go through those, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. If you go home and read this thing and have questions later, happy to answer. If you flip to page 67, the very last page, this gives you a summary of that 18 million we subtracted from your cash at the front. And you can see that the bulk of that is the distributable funds up at the top, almost 17 million of taxes you've collected that belong to others. Any questions? Too brief? Not brief enough? All right. Okay. Your staff does an excellent job. When we show up on site, everything's ready for us, and they upload everything. Tina really reviews the report, which sounds like, yeah, they all administrators do that, but that's not the case. Sometimes we send an audit to a county, and within 5 minutes they reply back and say, "Looks good," so we know they didn't look good. But it is your responsibility. At the end of the day, the buck stops with you, but you've got great people in place to make sure it's done right.
Well, I know you look at all the statutory things and audit the numbers, but is there any emphasis on any kind of procedure?
We do look at controls.
Like a little week on somewhere?
So we do look at that, and if we had recommendations, we would make them in that letter. Some audits, sometimes you think about an audit where you're auditing let's say you're auditing a big company, you're testing those internal controls to reduce your other testing. So in this type of auditing, we don't do that. We do look at controls because we have to determine where the risk in the audit lies. And so those controls, if they're, or lack thereof, tells us of areas where there is risk. So that's the extent that we look at. We get a memo, an updated memo each year from administration on what the procedures are, and then we do visit with various people within the entity to make sure that that's really is what's happening. We also do a fraud questionnaire with staff and governance. We email that to you guys. We don't always get it back, and that's fine. But we want you to know that if you do have questions or concerns or an area you feel like is risky, we would welcome those comments and suggestions so that we can focus our attention on those areas. Any other questions? All right, then that would be my presentation for 2024. Thank you very much. We appreciate working with your county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Phyllis, I can send that to you by email. These copies go to our department, hard copies.
Just for departments?
Yeah, so when,
Yeah, I wrote on some of the dates.
okay, I'll email you an electronic copy, but I need the hard copies. So just before you leave, if there's something that you've written and you want that note, then we could probably make a copy of that for you.
These I marked on for my own.
Yeah.
Ahead of schedule again.
Yay.
Luckily, the river's just across the street, so.
I'll go make a couple of phone calls real quick. See if we can get some people coming in quicker.
We wanna swap. Emergency.
It's already here.
Already here.
Yeah.
Oh, hot seat, huh? This is. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, when it's nice outside like this, we don't need to be inside.
We
It's
wanna do it.
actually beautiful,
We wanna do a commission picnic?
Yeah.
Okay.
only when it's this degree, not when it's 100. I don't do that. Okay, I am here to let you know, they had the senior centers have been struggling, and they have, Tina had approached me because actually Norma Klein came to me and asked if we could put the senior center, Marion Senior Center, under the county. Because the insurance, right now, they have insurance on the building, but it is only liability. So it's like $1,600 a year for liability insurance. And I explained to her, you do know that if something happens to this building, Marion Senior Center is down for a while because it won't even touch the replacement of the building. So she said, well, can we go under the county? You know, if we can go under if the county will take over this building, maybe, you know, they could be encompassed. I said, well, I will. So I took it to Tina, and Tina said, well, let's get with the other centers and find out what their issues are. Again, Hillsborough has full coverage insurance, and it's like $6,500 a year. Peabody has full coverage insurance, and I don't know the rate on that, but they're going to provide this information for us. So they were saying all of them came together. I was on vacation, so Linnell was there. Tina had come to the meeting and opened up the meeting. What are some of the concerns that the senior centers are having to keep them going? Because we are under North Central Flint Hills Area of Agency. Of the 18 counties, believe it or not, Marion County has the most senior centers of all counties, which is a huge blessing. Now, granted, we started out years ago, we had 11 senior centers within Marion County. And as time has gone on, they have slowly closed up. And there's a slight potential that Peabody will close up if they don't get their numbers up. They have to serve at least 44 meals a day, and I don't even know if they're doing half of that today. They currently do not. They have a substitute cook, and the center themselves are paying for that cook because North Central has not hired this person yet. And I think it's because they're not sure if they're going to stay open. I just got some bad news today. Kathy is our cook at Marion, and she has been struggling for over a year now with her health. She's got some health issues, and so she is requesting that we find a new cook for Marion County Senior Center. So I know that is through North Central Flint Hills. I did send a note to Linda Simple, who is over the cooks. So my goal, I really want to keep our centers open, and whatever we can do to help them keep their centers open is what we need to try to do. I know Norma is concerned, the utility bill there at the center, and I keep the temperature, we put the thermostat down, when they get there in the morning, and then I turn it back up when everybody leaves. So we keep it set at 80 when nobody is there, just to keep the cost down. So, but Norma says most of the time in the summertime, their utility bill is over $500 just for the heating and cooling. So she's looking at getting assistance with helping with their utility bills, getting assistance helping with the insurance. Hillsborough said that the city, Hillsborough reports that they get $10,000 a year from the city. Peabody does not get any financial help from the city, nor does Marion. However, I have to dispute this because Marion, you guys pay the insurance. So I know that's not directly impact to the senior center, but.
We do that for all of the employees of the
Okay, and right now there's.
Area Agency on Aging.
Okay, right now there's just currently 2. But Wanda said that her concerns, that Wanda Deuce is the president of Hillsborough. Her financial concerns is insurance. Their roof is needing repaired, AC for the kitchen, operational expenses, and fire extinguishers. The consensus for the senior centers altogether were the insurance and was their main financial hardship. And the next one is the utilities. So I'm just here to express their concerns on what they would like to see in order to keep their facilities going. I did bring it up that $50,000 is available for grant through the, what is the grant? Interest Bank. It's a $50,000 charitable grant. Is available to each of the sites. So I know Wanda, when she is writing up her grant request, she's looking at $10,000 just to put in a budget so that it would help with the utilities. So that is what I'm here for. It's just to express the needs of the senior centers.
And I will say
Has Marion gone to the city?
To my knowledge, no. Marion has not gone to the city. Our president is very shy. She does not like to get up and speak. She's been the president for 5 years now, and she really doesn't want it because something like this would just, in fact, when she knew you were coming over, she wanted to be not president at all.
Oh.
I said, honey, you do not have to speak to her. You know, she can do it through Norma. Which is the secretary. But I can approach Norma and say, hey, if Hillsborough is getting money from the city, you know, Marion probably can too, but you have to ask. You can't assume that they're gonna, you know, hey, and they do fundraisers. You know, last year we did a matching with Ace Hardware. So we pushed everybody to go to Ace. I mean, it was good. And we did our fundraiser for the garage sale. Yes, Tina.
I was just going to say that I've just kind of started to do some preliminary research on the origins and how everything is set up and how we got to where we are today, and looking at getting all the bylaws from the different centers. I did have a good discussion with the people that were at the meeting about what, in today's world, what their needs are, and In the past, we have paid for insurance. I know when Gayla was here, there was a letter that the insurance was going to be allowed as a request for the mill levy. So I'm just doing some basic research so we know kind of how it all came about. And then also thinking about, I think it would be helpful to survey the actual seniors in the county, like a direct survey as far as what kind of services do you really need in your life today? Because we've been doing the same thing for decades. And people's lives are not the same as they were 30 or 40 years ago as far as the needs of the senior citizens. So I would like a little bit, I'm kind of working in that direction to just kind of gather feedback and see what's out there. But right now, the senior centers themselves are all basically funded through private donations, and that's how they keep going. The Department on Aging is funded by the county, but when it first came about, there was supposed to be a certain amount available for support of these centers. So, and there are some centers that don't do meals, things like that. You know, it may be even something evaluating what it looks like to have a centralized location for meals and then to be able to deploy those out to different satellite sites or something like that to make it more efficient.
I think that would be huge.
So,
I really do. And I think we would have more people participate in it.
so anyway, that it just kind of got my brain working a little bit as far as what do we need to do moving forward. So two conversations really. One, what do we need in the budget? And then the second one is what do we need overall to serve our senior population? Because it's not a small population here in Marion County. We need to make sure we're looking for their feedback. So.
Yeah, and that's all we want to do is take care of our seniors.
Not looking for any decisions from you all or anything like that today, but just kind of curious what your thoughts are.
I think a survey is a great idea. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting
Right.
different results.
And things have changed. I mean, totally different. I mean, even the center said that when COVID hit, before COVID, I know this is, everybody's tired of everybody saying COVID, but that's the reality of it, is when COVID hit, it really changed things. And nobody has bounced back. The center hasn't. I mean, we still serve, but most of our meals go out the back door or delivered. It's not in person anymore, and to get people to hang around the center to play games or even, I mean, they do socialize, but that's the extent of it.
So
And just,
so all the meals get sent out from a centralized location and they're sent out the back door, but then you could always do something like a Teams meeting or something.
Yes.
Where they're all participating online together. If there is a
I
contagion
wish they would
fear.
do that.
And it probably would, as long as somebody would help them
Right.
with the links and how to, and they probably would jump on it a bit more than you think they would.
There's a big chunk of the county though that don't even have a computer.
Well, the internet service is another thing.
Yeah.
It's getting better, but no.
I was happy to see that a lot of people showed up for the county meeting because of the topic, you know, the importance of, you know, I really need you guys there to express what you guys really need. You know, not just another, oh, okay, well, we played bingo and this. No, we want the heart of it. What do you guys really need? And they were that's another thing. You know, when we have these county monthly meetings, it just blows me away that it's just the people that represent that district is there. I would think the president would want to be there of that facility, you know, but it's not that way. Even people complained about, well, Peabody's meals are not very good. And so Janie, who is there every day, she says, how would they know? They don't even eat here. Which is kind of sad. You know, you're representing Peabody or even Marion or Hillsborough, and you don't eat at the facility, even if you made it once a week, at least you're showing some participation. But when there's nothing, how can you say something? If you're not participating, shame on you. What's the point? So,
I am gonna be at Parkside on July 14th, and I'm hoping to get some more input from people during that session, so. Anyway, I guess it's kind of a new issue. So, any other feedback from?
Well, as far as the one that I thought was gonna be hosted in Lincolnville last week,
yeah.
at 5 after 10,
Yeah.
I finally call, well, it's in Marion, well, I just came from Marion.
Yeah, we were supposed to have our meeting at the Lincolnville, and they don't have they have a community center. And it was booked like normal, and then Barb, who's the representative for Lincolnville for us, she called us the day before and says, oh, well, because they could get money out of somebody else, they rented the building out, so we can't have it. So we did. We had to switch things up real quick and say, oh, sorry, guys. So the phone calls, you know, the meal and that. So, you know, and that is something that maybe we need to look at. If somebody is going to host us, I don't know. Maybe that's something I need to look at. Do I need to? Should the Department of Aging be paying a fee if we're doing it outside the norm, which would be Lincolnville? But it would be nice to host it like in Florence even. Florence is not on our list, but why not? So just a lot of revamping needs to go on.
Just answering why I didn't turn around and go back to Marion.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. That's all I have. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes.
In some ways, like you said, whether our total population has declined to the point that we're not getting as many people to show up is how many of the regulars here at Marion for the last 3 or 4 years are no longer here.
Yeah, we've had,
And maybe it's at the most 1 to 3 that we get somebody to replace the ones that are gone. Would that be about a fair assumption? So it was nothing to have 30 meals a few times in the past to, what are we, 15?
yeah, we have
An average here and there.
15 to 20 that come in-house and eat.
But that was almost twice that just 3 years ago.
You're right. Yeah,
And it's amazing how many, I don't think I've got enough fingers to say who's no longer with us in the last 3 years.
right. Oh, well, we've had quite a few deceased that,
She texted me.
So that's not helping the situation anymore.
I think we have just as many seniors, if not more than we had even years ago. Because you got over half the population of this county
is
that's over
seniors,
60.
yes.
It's just a culture change. It's just a culture change.
Well, there's also over 60. Nobody really thinks about, oh, I should be going to the senior center.
Exactly. Yeah,
I
they
should
think,
participate. That you don't feel.
they have that
You think of that
stigma.
as older, and when
Well, at least a quarter of the population's over 70, so.
yeah, but it's a mentality thing. It's the same thing I see all the time on fighting the hearing aids, because that's for old people. I'm not old yet,
Right, and we hear that a lot.
and
It's a culture change.
And it doesn't help that, and we have somebody that is in the senior center that is I don't know what you call her. She's not the director, but there's nobody out there pushing to get things alive, you know. They used to do Elvis once a year. That hasn't happened since COVID, you know, and Elvis is huge with the Marion Senior Center, you know, that we just had somebody in, is it Harrington? And people went to it and they loved it. They had a good time with it.
We had one in Peabody the other day.
Or maybe it was Peabody. So, you know, just when
My last donation was a quilt that we got matching funds.
I did the same thing that.
And it was to go to the next fire victim that they lost their house, which we hope was never, it was about 40 days later. So it did, that's where it went.
Well, they did that, the sale, the garage sale, they raised $1,200. And that went to the light bill, which was wonderful.
All right, thank you, Lou.
Yep, thank
We're gonna move on.
I know.
Marcy. Appreciate you.
Okay, I am here because the EOP has been returned from the state and it has been, what they do is when we send our EOP to the state, they look at the statutes and all the Kansas planning standards and make sure that our document agrees with all of those rules and regulations. So we did get, thanks for putting that up. We did get the statement back from the Kansas Division of Emergency Management. And we have been approved pending you guys adopting the EOP. So, since that's the next part, normally what we do, and they had it in their packet.
Yes.
Okay, in your package, you'll find something called a promulgation statement. That is a statement saying that we're going to adopt this plan. Once you guys adopt it, then it goes out to the public. It gets put on our website, it gets put on information. I have meetings with the different annexes and ESFs and letting them know kind of what's in the plan, and we start scheduling exercises and testing. So. And it's good for 4 years, and then I have to redo it every 4 years. So, and there's a written copy if you want it. It's right here. So, any questions?
14 as the last one.
More tomorrow? All right.
No questions? Okay, then it's just.
We could authorize a 24-hour readathon.
I had to read the whole thing because I have to fix it. So if you had questions or concerns, I even went through, and to make it easier if somebody wants to take a look at it, I broke it down into all 15 of the annexes as well as the base plan itself. So you can take a look at that too if you wanted to. But that was the copy of the plan that I sent you guys earlier. So you had a month to look at it because I didn't want to make you guys read. It's a little big. I didn't want to make you guys read it all in a week. So that's why we sent it kind of a month ago.
Anything from Marcy? If not, make a motion to approve resolution 2025-15. Proclamation of Marion County's Emergency Operations Plan.
Approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, second. Dave, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Anything else from you? Alrighty. If you want to read it, it's in my office.
Yeah,
Thanks, Marcy.
one big beautiful bill right there. 900 pages. Schumer wanted them rated.
Government at its finest.
Yeah. Yeah, you're out there. Hello. Ooh. Let's see. Wow. All right. 15. All right. I move that we recess into executive session to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, Item 1, personal matters of non-elected personnel, with the board, Tina, Chuck, and Mickey, for 15 minutes till 10:45.
Second.
Hold on. With open session to resume back in the commission chambers following the closed session. Second, McCann. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Out of executive session, no decisions made. At this point, I'd move that we appoint Mickey Price as the interim EMS director, effective immediately.
Second that.
Second by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
You have the phone, right?
All right, well,
Gentlemen, need anything else?
You couldn't hand it off fast enough?
all right, thanks you guys, we'll be in touch.
You just call me when you want me to come in and visit with you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
We've done Marcy already, so Road and Bridge.
can we have another executive session? Since Brad's not here, can we just do it under personnel performance? It should still, match up. So here's this motion again.
Yeah. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personal performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item number 1 for personnel matters of non-elected personnel with the board, Tina,
And that would be
and that's it for
10 minutes
10 minutes,
or 15.
15 minutes, until 11 o'clock. With open session to resume back in commission chambers following the closed session.
Second.
Second, Clark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
We're on.
Okay, out of executive session, no decisions made. We got 2 items left today. Either one of them. The grant.
Yes, Road and Bridge will be here.
Okay.
See if they're close by. Probably should have had you check with them.
Okay.
That's no problem.
Do you have any commission comments?
Okay, commission comments?
I don't have any.
I don't have his phone number.
Had a couple thank yous on some projects in our area that Road and Bridge was able to get to.
Yeah.
Nice when people call back.
Huge thank you on whoever's spraying trees in the ditches, because they're knocking out a lot of them. But I don't know who's responsible, but whoever is, thank you.
She's about to take over.
Charge.
You wanna have a seat over here?
It is, no.
Right there, yes. I know. Okay. We're running a little bit ahead today, so.
Why? Okay.
Yes. So in your packet, you did have the information about the emergency watershed protection program and some potential projects that Doug has been pursuing with Steve. So do you have, I don't know if you just want to give an overview?
Yeah, hopefully you have the pictures on there. We have primarily 2 locations that we're needing desperate assistance with. Goldenrod and 290th, that's just south of the school there, northwest of Durham. The other one is 230th and Turkey Creek, which is basically an hour or a mile west of 77 on 230th. Both bridges incurred a very heavy accumulation of driftwood. I know on the 230th location, we actually had some erosion and wobbling out some road. We'll have to be repairing that also. There's no use doing a lot of repairs till we get rid of these sticks. I met with sticks. Big sticks. Yeah, there's some big ones in there.
Those are logs. I want to make sure
Yeah.
people know we're talking about something serious.
It's a large jam. The 230th and Turkey Creek, man, it goes back a good 1/8 of a mile.
Wow.
It
Must have washed out everything that has been hiding for 10 years.
cleaned out a lot. So with NCRS, they've got this program that it's a 25% local, 75% share. And the 25% can be payment in kind to relocate these logs. We have two options. One would be pull them out of the stream bed, put them in an adjacent field, burn them at some point. Problem is, adjacent fields are going to be in a floodplain, and all the ashes have to be, you gotta dig a hole and then bury the ashes. So it'd make most sense for us to haul them to an appropriate location. That trucking that the county would provide would be cost match for our 25%. So I'm not thinking it's going to be cash. I think it's going to be a labor and materials or trucking share. What we're asking today is just initiating the process. We're not saying we're doing these. We're not committing anything to them. It's just a way of NCRS to come in and say, yes, we would be interested, or we would be able to assist you in this project. That's what the letter's for.
And the letter was in your packet also.
How long does approval take?
I'm sorry?
How long does approval take on their end?
We would know whether or not they've got funding probably within 30 days. I was kind of hoping maybe we could knock this thing out in 90 to 120. We'd like to get it done by this fall, that's for sure.
Okay. I would make a motion that you would go ahead and send the letter off to Matt Meyerhoff in requesting federal assistance. Provisions of Section 216 of the Flood Control Act of 1950.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Does the Corps have any responsibility
I don't know if Clark voted.
past
Aye. Yeah, I'm sorry.
the end of the reservoir? I mean, they got responsibility up to Durham.
They are
Any responsibility past that?
Good question. I know that the Corps is primarily concerned about the Cottonwood Valley watershed, anything that goes into the Cottonwood River or that may drain into the reservoir. Clear Creek does not.
Yeah, this of course, the one on Goldenrod, that's been an issue forever, just because of the way it was located. It's been that way for almost 80 years. But now you got the bridge that's north of me on Eagle on 290th. There is a plug in the Cottonwood that's another 1/8 of a mile long. That's about an eighth of a mile from getting to that bridge. It's every bit as bad as all the others, and I'm surprised it didn't. Some of that may have got through down to Goldenrod, but the main part of it is still there. And at some point in time, that thing's going to give, and it's going to run right into that bridge.
We also have another place on Indigo, between 160th to 170th, that bridge there, that narrow bridge. There's a log jam about, maybe 1/10 of a mile upstream that's held by one tree that's just sitting there. And once that turns loose, it's gonna all come down to that one bridge too. Very similar to what I believe you're talking about,
Yeah.
so.
And them log jams not up against the bridge, can they set them afire by any means?
It's, it's still on private, still in the upper waterway, I guess.
That's just
It's
it.
about 1/10 of a mile before the bridge.
I don't know if the Corps would allow you to light that stuff on fire.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know how much say they have in the water that's above the reservoir that's coming in.
Well, I know they're pretty particular about any kind of structure that we put in the ground to make sure that we have some kind of flooring in there that's similar to what's there to allow the shad or Clark would know a little bit more about that as far as the habitat goes, but.
I know that they consider wood ash as a contaminant
Yeah.
for the stream bed, so I don't think you're getting
They
away from
probably
anything.
wouldn't let you light that thing on fire.
Well, it'd have to be natural causes.
Yeah, take a lightning hit.
I'm just saying about, we've had beaver dams that we've burnt the tops of them, and mainly to deter them to come back overnight. Of course, I mean, they're nothing like this as far as, I mean, they were just small little 5 or 10 foot plug, but they were causing issues with holding the water back as it, starts, and then.
And I guess my question is, are there other areas that if we're gonna initiate a project like this, I know the one on Indigo, I look at it every day and I'm just waiting for that to break loose and pile into that bridge and I know there's others probably all over the county. And if we're gonna
Make a bigger list or something.
make a big, I guess, yeah, that's my point is, do we need to make a bigger list?
We can also do this in multiple applications. This is not a one-time like a grant application, this is a standing, but it is dependent upon funding. So that would be the question. I don't know what their funding calendar looks like, if we're near the end or near the front of a funding calendar, and it does come from the feds. So we may not really expect a lot anywhere. So I'm not even saying if everybody says, let's do this, there's guaranteed to be funding.
NRCS has had some major cuts in their funding for this.
You got any projected costs on it?
I wanted to get into it a little bit, however, being new to this, I want to make sure that I didn't run ahead of the commission.
So it's just, whether or not there's funding or not, I mean, just how we weigh it.
I mean, I don't know who's done it in the past, but they've cleaned out that bridge on 290th and Goldenrod several times.
Yeah, they always had that big drag line out there.
Use it right now. Lately, it's been the traco and the bulldozer. The traco will get actually down on top of the drift and pick from the other side, move it around and throw it, and then we'll use a dozer to push it across the road to the other side of the road. And then in the wintertime, we normally burn it then. So the one on 230th and Turkey Creek with such a large amount, we don't have any place to store it and burn it. So that's going to be an issue too.
Can we secure a lease from the landowner for that purpose?
It might have to
For a year or two,
might have to
might
come
be our
down.
best option.
Yeah.
We wanna check into who's the landowner and whether they would allow us to pile that there, might be our cheapest option all the way around.
We were in high school. We had a bonfire every year
I would just think the landowner
so
has.
you get all the high school kids to volunteer to gather it all and have it ready for the bonfire for the year.
Well, I tell you what I saw. Anyway, some of the wood root balls that are down there is pretty artistic. Put a little shellac over it and sell it as an ornament. You'd make
Might pay for the loads.
Yeah.
It might be an advantage to the landowner to where that doesn't erode till we do get that cleaned out or something. Might be some consensus, not sure, suggests that we see if one of them would let us do what with it, or if we need a place to pile it, so.
We look for help, usually somebody's willing to give it, especially on.
Just being aware of the fact that if that all works out and we're able to burn it, there is still going to need to be a pit dug and ashes pulled into the pit and covered if it's in a floodplain. We can't just let it sit there once it's burned.
So with any tree, I think deals that the ash has gotta be hauled off or discarded, so.
Anything else official?
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll definitely report back, see how far we got on it.
We weren't in here, but I've been getting a lot of thank yous as far as dead trees in the ditches. Don't know who's responsible, but whoever's responsible, thank you.
You mean dropping trees and putting them in the ditches or cleaning them up?
Spraying them, cutting them, whatever. There's some efforts that have went and they haven't been unnoticed.
Well, good deal.
All right.
Guys, thanks.
You need that. Doug, do you need this original or not? Are you just gonna send it by email or
Do I need your signature on it?
it's on it?
Okay.
That would conclude all of our agenda items.
Let's see.
Handle it. Some fun. Delivered.
Is there anything additional?
Yeah.
Only once, twice. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0.